Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of The Cup Interviews, brought to you by Cup of Hemlock Theatre. I will be your host for this episode, Ryan Borochovitz, and I'm joined by a very exciting roster of wonderful theatre people who just completed the Toronto Fringe run of their show, Wanda. And those of you who followed our Fringe Roundup review obviously might have heard that I was quite enthusiastic about this show. So I'm very happy to talk to this wonderful coterie of theater people to hear what they have to say about it and extend these discussions further beyond the initial short review that we could only give it during that piece. So I have three of the members of the Wanda team here with me today. I will let them all kind of introduce themselves in a moment, and they will just maybe say their names, their role in Wanda, and what is in their cup. So Zaynna, let's start with you.
Hi, my name is Zaynna Khalife. I played the role of Wanda, and this is my Tim Hortons cup. I always get a 2 cream, 1 sugar. I'm not a double kind of person. So yeah.
Okay. Love it.
Just
Okay. Jessica, you're next.
My name's Jessica Harb. And I am drinking a rather disgusting cup of instant coffee.
Always is. Yeah. Wonderful. Thanks for joining. And Zach.
Hi, I'm Zachary Barmania. I played the role of the director, and I don't have a cup. I have a bottle, and it's full of water from my Brita filter, which is new. I live in Peterborough, and the water here kind of tastes like pool water. So the Brita is like a very welcome addition to my fridge. So that's what I'm drinking.
And it's better for the environment. So that's
too.
Always good too. I hope it's curtailing the taste of chlorine in your water. Okay, and I am drinking orange pico tea out of my University of Toronto mug because I felt like that was relevant to the show. Certain characters are graduate students at U of T, which we will talk about. I love the Robarts shout-outs. Okay, so before we dive too deep into Wanda, I'd like to maybe just start with each of you as your own people, as theater artists, and maybe if you want to just talk about a little bit more about yourselves, maybe how you first got into theater, some of your relevant maybe training or previous projects, experiences. The floor is yours. So Zaynna, we'll go back to you.
all right. Yes. So I am almost done graduating my joint program with the U of T and Sheridan Acting Conservatory. It's about 7 years put into 4. I don't know how I got into theater. I really wanted to be an actor, and somebody was like, this program is great. And I was like, it is? So then I auditioned, and it was either this program or it was York. And it was like, 1 in like 500 that like they just give out envelopes to. So I just really wanted to hone in on like my triple threatness, I guess, because I've done dance work, I've done singing work. Then I was like really lacking in acting, and I didn't necessarily know what I was doing. So theater really gave me that like academic, but also a different process to artisticness that we all love and have. And yeah, this is my first show outside of theater school. So this is like really, really cool. And I'm really happy. And it was an absolute privilege to work with everybody, especially with Jess, and show me the ropes on like how theater works outside of academia.
That's wonderful. And yeah, that is an ideal program for blending that theoretical and the practical. I know, ITA for it. Jessica, you're next.
I grew up in Edmonton, Alberta. I moved here to go to the Randolph College of the Performing Arts and studied musical theater. And I was doing musicals for I want to say 6 years after I graduated, before the pandemic hit. And then Wanda was my first show back post theaters opening up again. And it was just so amazing to be back on stage and working with my amazing cast. Zaynna's one of my favorite scene partners I've ever had. She's just so fun and has so much energy. And it was just, I think we did a really good job of like playing with each other. I think I've gotten a little off topic, but
no, that's wonderful. We're already getting into the play itself. I love it. And yes, being in the audience, I can definitely attest to the chemistry that was seen in all of the scenes with you two together. It was wonderful. Zach, your turn.
Yeah, I wanted to be an actor when I was a kid, and I did a lot of it in high school, and I did like improv club and like stuff like that. I went to YPT for like their improv classes, and that was fun. And then I sort of drifted away from it in university, and I went more into the writing and editing side of things. Like I worked for the student magazine for the longest time, Absinthe, and I was like editing a student work and publishing my own editorials and my own short stories. And then over the pandemic, I started doing like audiobooks of the stuff that I'd been working on for Absinthe. So I started doing voice acting and getting really interested in that. And then Ethan called me up and wanted to work on Wanda, and I'd been editing Wanda since he started writing it. So I was like thrilled and excited. And this is my first like in-person real theater project. And it was like a blast. And I can't wait to do it again and just like run headfirst into the bosom of lady theater. It's going to be wonderful. I'm going to die drowning in glory from theater. I love it. Yeah. It's so much fun. Writing's so boring. Theater's so fun.
Well, that's wonderful. And Lady Theater clearly has welcomed you into her good bosom with this piece. Okay, well, with that lovely backstory out of the way, this is going to be a fun one, I can tell. Let's dive into Wanda. Let's start by just hearing the elevator pitch. How would you describe Wanda to somebody who has not seen it? Who wants to take it away? I'll leave that in your hands.
Jess?
Jess?
Get nominated.
Okay, I can take it. How would I describe Wanda to someone who has not seen it? Wanda is a rom-com that does a very good job of not making anyone the hero of the story. All of the characters are beautiful and flawed and just exactly as they are on stage, and you don't think that you're really supposed to root for anyone, but we're amazing, so you root for us anyway. Yeah, I think it just like really holds a picture to what relationships look like in real life.
Nice. Okay. This is my floor. I'm getting off the elevator. Thank you. I'll make a point of seeing the show. Yes. No, great elevator pitch. No, I thought that was a very great, concise, accurate description of what I saw on stage. So thank you. Did anyone else want to chime in or add anything to that? Or are you happy to leave it at that? Cool.
It was good.
All right. So we maybe started getting into this a little bit already, and some of you unpacking your backstory with the project, but what was it that first attracted each of you to Wanda and getting involved in it? Why don't we start with Zach this time, since you already kind of talked about your journey with the piece a little bit?
Okay, yeah. I mean, it was all Ethan, right? Like the thing about Wanda is that it's like a Horcrux of Ethan's, it's like a shard of his soul that he has like shared with the world. And like I love Ethan. I've known him since we were like little kids, grade 8 we met. And we've been working on scripts the entire time as well. Like our first time we ever made a script together was in grade 9. And that was about a vampire slayer school, which was really fun. And like it was the joy and character that Ethan can bring to a script. Like every line is so stylized and so like, but still like real. And the first time I was drawn to Wanda was because Ethan was like, hey, can you read Wanda for me? And I was happy to. And it was a love affair since then. And it's been awesome to see it to completion. I never thought it would because of the pandemic, right? Like it was written before the pandemic and then it happened. And I was like, okay, I guess it's never going to happen. And then it did. And that was just like a blast. And it's good to know there's still good in the world. It's good things can still happen like Wanda.
Yes.
So that's how I came to Wanda.
That's wonderful. Thank you for sharing. All right. Zaynna, you have a very interesting look on your face as you're pondering. Would you like to go next to talk about what first attracted you to the project?
I would.
You got to play Wanda, so that must have been exciting. The
funny thing is, it's like when I first got the call of being offered Wanda, I didn't know what it was about. It was more like hey, you want to do this? And I was like, yes. I didn't even know what it was about. By the time that I got the script, I realized how much of the art that Ethan wanted to put out there was along the same lines that are parallel to the art that I want to put out there, in the way that it's so realistic and believable in the way that it's acted out. And I think there's every little bit of Wanda in everybody, like not necessarily the character, but just like the production itself. And just knowing that I could be harmonious with like Ethan's idea in the beginning was something that really attracted to me to it. And there was so much respect in the way that she was written, because I think me and Ethan were so similar in the way that we both used to be like a Wanda version of Wanda. And I think everybody has. Like, I was a little bit of a Faith at one point, and I was a little bit of a Logan at some point too. Like, I think in that way, it provides self-reflection, but in the life that you used to have. So in that way, it was like really realistic for everybody. And I really, really enjoyed it in that way. Yeah.
That's wonderful. Jessica, you're up.
I have a similar situation to Zaynna, where Ethan contacted me and asked if I wanted to be in this show. And I said yes, because it has been so long since I've been in a show. So I said yes. I didn't even read the script. I was just like, yes, I'll do it. So yeah. And then I also coming to terms with the fact that I have been at some point each of these characters was like difficult, but good. I mean, it's like cool to see not only like how far that I've come as a person, but also that like we are able to put that on stage and like know that it's probably relatable for a lot of other people too, in a lot of different ways. So that really attracted me to the project. And I mean, we had quite a few versions of scripts during our rehearsal process, and my character changed in every version. So that was fun. I stuck around because I think I knew what I could bring to the character. And I think I knew that whatever version of her we were going to put on stage, that I could, I don't know, do a good job of portraying the like flawed character that Faith is, in whichever version she ended up being.
Nice. Oh, yeah. Yes, Zaynna, you have your hand up.
Sorry, I'd love to add on.
Please do.
Because like, I think like me and Jess, like we're on the same wavelength, because I think we are able to give something that's so flawed so much like pride. I don't know if that makes sense. Like, we can give something on stage that we could be proud of, and I think that's why we stayed. Like, and we stayed and like pushed through like all the bumps in the road where we're like, script is too long, and we need to speed up, and we need to be like Gilmore Girls, speed it up, girl. But like, we were able to give so much compassion and I think empathy at times to like actually be proud of what we're putting out there. And I think because we had each other, and as well as Ethan at some point, to bring us all together in that way that we could be proud of whatever we put on. Yeah.
That's wonderful. I feel like you've already begun alluding to this next question, but let's kind of jump right off these coattails. Did you experience any notable challenges and or discoveries during the rehearsal process? I feel like we started hinting at some of them, if you want to pick up where you left off.
Notable?
Yes, only the notable ones. Do not note the ones that are not notable.
Well, none of them are notable because we did the show perfectly fine.
Absolutely.
There were definitely, I mean, like time was one of them, for sure. Time was the biggest one. Like at almost all turns, like the limited rehearsal time, at least from my perspective, was a challenge. And also the fact that the script was too long for a lot of time. And the fact that Ethan wrote a new script in a week and then we reverted back to the old script. It was like a whole like finding the script was a big thing. But I think like, I mean, it must have been chaos for you guys on like a line learning front and in character work front. But I think it resulted in these like really great, like deep performances because you're aware of all these other facets of the characters and of yourselves, that it actually turned into these like really amazing, layered, complex. That's what everyone's saying is like every character is really complex and flawed, and you can't really exclusively cheer for one, you know? It's like, because if you're loyal to one, you're disloyal to another, like necessarily, you know? So I think it was all like, you know, like the pain that made us stronger and made you guys stronger. And it made the results really second to none. I was at every show and I was like, you know, like both sayings I want to say right now are a little crude, But I was a pig in shit watching you guys. It was awesome. It was so much fun. You guys are so good. And I think a lot of that was because of the bumps in the road. Like it made you guys have to think harder than you would have had to normally. So now I'll let you guys talk.
Yep. Who wants to go next?
I started character work like pretty early. And then we got a new script, and I didn't throw out any of that character work. I kept it. And then we got another new script. And so I was able to like layer in everything that I had discovered about all of the multiple. So yes, was it a challenge to receive a full script only 2 weeks before opening? Sure. Was it worth it? Maybe.
I would say yes.
Yeah.
And yeah, you're all such pros. You wouldn't, from the audience, you would have never known that you were memorizing and relearning and redoing all your character work under such duress. So well done, and hats off to you all. Zaynna?
Yeah. I'm sorry, I'm thinking. And
Yeah.
I'm thinking of like how it was for me, because I think at times I kept thinking like this is where like mental health kind of gets in the point where I'm diagnosed with like anxiety disorder, like as a disorder. Because sometimes I'm like, I have anxiety, and somebody's like, don't we all? And I'm like, no, no, not like me. And thinking of like kind of coming into rehearsal, and like I remember at one point I was like, I think I'm gonna get in trouble because I don't know my lines. But then I think what I loved about this production is that the responsibility was on me. Nobody was on my butt. And if I would, am I allowed to swear on here?
Yeah, go ahead.
Nobody was on my ass about like anything. And like, I would be making up things as I go. And some of the jokes like, my asshole, like that one was just funny. And I just ran and put it in there. I think the thing that I stuck to the most, which is something that I love about anxiety, she's there for me to help me survive. But something that I also don't like is that like, if she stresses me out too much, I'm like, but if she brings me back and reminds me that this is survival, as long as I know what I'm saying, I'm okay. I understand Wanda because we've all been a Wanda at some point. So I know her train of thought. And I liked how we had like different versions of the script at times, because like it makes me think of like Multiverse Wanda. And Multiverse Wanda had so many different ways of like expressing her greatest self in her world. So it was like I understood her words more, and I could push it further if I wanted to, or bring her back if I wanted to. So yeah, my notable challenge would just be sometimes words are hard, but I knew what I was saying.
Yeah, words are hard. I don't think anyone would disagree with that. Okay. This has all been really fun, but it's all been pretty light on spoilers so far. So we are recording this after the run at Toronto Fringe has ended, and maybe the show will have some kind of afterlife. I hope it does, and perhaps we'll talk more about that later. But let's maybe take advantage of the fact that this isn't just a promotional thing to sell tickets, and let's maybe dive deeper into the actual meat and potatoes of the show, if you're all on board with that. I had a lot of thoughts while I was watching it, and more thoughts just kept gestating as I thought about it after the fact. So why don't we dig into some spoiler stuff? So for those who might want to see another iteration of Wanda down the line and don't want to have anything spoiled, perhaps you will pause this episode right here and maybe come back to it later.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, or maybe you're watching this because you happen to stumble upon it several years in the future when Wanda is the most famous play that anybody has ever produced. And, you're going to go see it at Mervish, perhaps, and you don't want to be spoiled. So now's the time to pause and just come back after you've seen the show. But for those, this is really a segment for those who have seen it, but you might still enjoy it even if you haven't. So, okay, spoiler shield is up. Anything goes. Let's begin with the title, why don't we? Because you've already all commented on how there is no true hero, and there's a lot of different dynamics with the characters, how they're all relatable, but all flawed in their own ways. And yet the title does specifically single out one character, even though all three are equally central and have equal stage time. So I guess I have to ask, in the parlance of the show, is this indeed the Wanda show? Or is it perhaps all of their shows? Zaynna, you played Wanda. Would you like to go first on this one?
Well, I'm quite biased on this answer. This is the Wanda show. Like, she starts off in the beginning, 15 minutes of her own stage time. Nobody else is like allowed to come on stage just yet. And I think she has the most like connections to the audience, if that makes sense. Like, you know, like standing in the middle and just being like, I want my happily ever after. I supposedly fixed the situation. It's supposed to be mine now. And like by the end of it, it's still like when I spoke to everybody after the show was done, they met me outside. They're just like, no, I felt for her. No, like I empathized with her. Like I wanted her to win, but I didn't want her to win with him, but I wanted her to win. And I was like, look at that. This is the Wanda show. This is the Wanda show. I'm going to argue it is the Wanda show. So hate me if you want.
Okay, well, Jessica, maybe I'll turn it to you. Do you think it's also the Faith show?
No, I actually agree that it is the Wanda show.
Nice. And you're not biased.
Hello,
I so badly wanted it to be about me. That is a line from the show that I say to Wanda, actually. So
Spoilers.
Yeah. Spoilers. Yeah, I just think like although Logan and Faith have a similar amount of stage time, it is always still about Wanda. Logan and Faith's relationship is about Wanda because Faith is Wanda's friend, Logan is Wanda's girlfriend. And they discuss it in all of their scenes together. She comes up. It's definitely the Wanda show, in my opinion.
Nice. Great. Well, I guess it's settled. It's the Wanda show. Zach, do you want to chime in on this before?
I'll play Logan's advocate. It's definitely not the low show.
The low show, as they call it.
But I think I like from like the way I had to look at it was that it was like I was looking at it from like a perspective character mindset. So like each scene has a main character. So like Wanda is usually the main character of her scenes, but like there's always one character who stays from one scene to another, and they're in this transition. And I always took that transition to mean like the show is now about this person. And like we are now looking at it from their point of view. And that's how I had to look at it as like the director. But what I didn't account for was how important the pre-show was, having Zaynna be on stage while the house was filling up. I didn't account for that. That was Ethan's idea. And it was like brilliant, I thought, because it's like Wanda is like Logan and Faith are characters from the audience perspective, but Wanda is one of us, right? Like Wanda talks to us. There's no fourth wall for Wanda. Or if there is, she's constantly breaking it. She's like Bugs Bunny. That was the way I was looking at it. It's like she's constantly breaking the fourth wall, you know? And like the audience loves it and it makes them feel so included. And it's like Wanda's one of us. She's our, what's it called? Surrogate. Like she's like the person that is us. She's the Keanu Reeves of the story. And I thought that was really great. And I don't regret that at all. But I still see the story from Faith's perspective as being really interesting. And seeing it from Logan's perspective is really interesting. And it's just, and like seeing it from Wanda's perspective is the most interesting though, because like she's like the secret bad guy. That's like what Ethan was trying to do, but it's like Zaynna's like way too likable for such a villain. But like yeah, because like if you look at it from Faith's perspective, it's like a normal like rom-com, right? It's like, oh, Logan's with the wrong girl, right? So it's like if this were like a Hollywood movie, Jess would be like Renee Zellweger, and it would be like that. It'd be a Bridget Jones' Diary type movie, but it's from Wanda's perspective, so we get this different take on the story. So anyway, I don't know that it's exactly the Wanda show, but there's definitely a huge amount of Wanda in it.
There certainly is.
What's up?
No, I love the Bugs Bunny imagery here. No, but you raise a good point. I think what I found so interesting about the show is that we always do see ourselves as the protagonist in our own story, and everyone else is either a side character or a villain. But you know, what I think this play does really well is it's a lesson in empathy, that these people all have their own lives in which they see themselves as being central, but there are consequences when you bump up against others. Mm-hmm. And I guess maybe just to rephrase the question a little bit, we don't have to go through everybody answering it again if you don't want, but I wonder if naming the show Wanda biases the audience towards her perspective where they otherwise might have if it was called something else. Maybe not named after one of the characters, but if it was just called the rom-com play or whatever. I don't know if you have thoughts on that.
Yeah. Ethan, one of his weaknesses is that he always names whatever it is after the main character. And like, I think I think he just typed the title and then never thought about it again. And I personally think that's probably true from an audience perspective thing, but like from like a deep read perspective, I don't think it like really changes it, because Wanda is still different in the script, you know, like she is like Logan and Faith are 2, and then Wanda's like the 3rd, if that makes any sense. Like she's different, and I think that would still come through even if you change the title.
Nice.
I don't know.
Is that you chewing on your carrot there?
Absolutely. It's the barber of, what's it, Seville?
Seville.
Yeah.
Thank you. Sorry. That's the immigrant brain from Lebanon talking. I don't know. I think like what Zach has to say is very important, but I also think that it presents us with a different opportunity. Maybe like if we did do that, it could have changed differently on the way the audience advocated for whoever they advocated for. I mean, most probably Wanda. But like, I also think that it would have given Wanda a better chance of showing how she is both the con artist and the one being conned. And so everybody else is also their con artists, and they're like also being conned by everybody else. I think like it could have gave something different, but alas, we did not.
Yeah, that we're committed to the title we had, and like I quite like how it sort of did maybe bias me towards Wanda's perspective, but I kind of also wonder if we're talking alternate universe Wandas, what would my reaction have been differently if the show was called Faith or Logan or something else entirely? Or these 3 people, what are you going to do? Long to pull the title.
Oh my god, yeah, 3-way would have been one of them. Just like the book.
So we want to move on a bit. I noticed in the Fringe Festival program that the play was listed under the drama category as opposed to the comedy. And moreover, your marketing blurb describes it as a, quote, rom-drom-com in that order, end quote. So I'm curious what your thoughts are on how you feel this piece fits within, or perhaps even subverts or transcends, these generic or tonal categories.
Can I say they got it wrong on the
They got it wrong.
They got it wrong.
Wait, you or nobody from your team
it
tell
wasn't
them
me.
that?
I think it might have been lovely Dylan with dyslexia. And it's happened before. I think on our cards it said staring instead of starring. And I was like, oh, young man. Young man. It goes like, I think it's and then calm and then drum.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's where it's not. I like read it and I just went like, oops. Like I read it too soon now. Sorry.
Well, either way, if we're talking about the ways that things like the title or the marketing material might maybe biases the audience towards a specific perspective, even if this was accidental, it clearly was still the case, and it's part of the framing of the piece. So even if it's wrong, let's talk about what this does for it. Anyone else want to chime in or have thoughts?
Yeah, I think sorry, Jess, go, please.
Thank you. Sorry. When I read that marketing blurb, I was like, oh, do they not understand like how funny we are? Like we're so funny. There's jokes in every single scene. And I don't know. That was all I have to say on that.
Oh, well,
I don't know if I would market it as a romance first.
In that order.
I think that it's not about the romance. I think it's about like Wanda's relationships with both Faith and Logan. And I think that the romance comes, like, is a subplot. I don't think that it's the main plot.
It's an interesting perspective. Yeah. Now, and I will say to your point earlier about how there's jokes in every scene, isn't it a comedy? And yeah, that's actually something that I commented on in our review roundup, how I felt that the categorization of drama maybe undersold the comedy a little bit. Because while there are dark moments, and it does, I think, go through the ringer of all of these different genres and tonal labels, yeah, I would put comedy first. And that's,
Well, I think they're so connected, right? That it's almost like reductive to label it either, right? Because I think this is one of the brilliant things about Zaynna's performance, I thought, was that there's so much laughing and comedy that when the drama happens, it like hurts. It like seriously fucking sucks. Like, because like it's like you've seen Wanda so happy, you've seen her trying so hard, and to see her like languishing is really painful. And it's like because the most dramatic it gets is the bathtub monologue, and that's like brutal. Like it's like everyone is sad. Like it's like it goes from a really happy like theater environment, like a happy room, to like a really sad, quiet room where no one wants to even make a noise or breathe. It's like the comedy like gets your emotional investment in, so you care about Wanda, and it's like you see her happy. Her happiness is your happiness, right? Because she's our surrogate. She's like she's sharing our laughs, right? Breaking the fourth wall. That when she's crying, it's like, ow, ouchie, ouchie, wawa. Damn you to hell, Logan. So I thought like they're so connected in my brain that it doesn't even like all the drama comes from the comedy. Like it only works because of the laughter.
Right.
Otherwise it's just melodrama, right? Like it's just like, you cheated on me, you suck, but like the reason why it's not like that is because the characters are so deep and we're laughing with them earlier. There's a contrast.
Yeah, and I don't want to like not say that the drama isn't worth it, because the drama was worth it, but like the drama was still playing out, like just like it was like heading to a climaxing point, but it was crazy the way the swing was from the scene before. And it's my favorite scene, the scene where Faith and Wanda are just like, yeah, and they're like, you're so quirky, and it's like, no, you're so quirky, and they're like psychologically fighting each other in such a weird friendly way, which I love doing. But like it was weird, like me standing there and just like witnessing the swing, like the changing of the lights and everything, that transition from like, I told you to fold your fucking vagina, and I went like this, that's what it looks like, and then like turning away to like realize that like Wanda is in the middle of her breakup at this point. And it was such a quick transition that it's like, I feel like the audience was also like, what the fuck? Like in a way that it was like the transition and the swing between like just laughing at vaginas to being like, am I the vagina now? I'm going to have to go through some hardship. I don't know if that makes sense.
No, I think that's wonderful.
I do think it undersold it, because we are very funny. Like we do so many bits throughout the entire like part, even at the end, like it's funny. I don't know if you were there, because sometimes we had to cut the last part if we were running too late on time for like the Lord Farquaad joke.
Lord Farquaad joke?
I wasn't there.
Oh no, I'm sorry, I missed that.
It's okay. Am I allowed to just
spoiler zone? Talk about the Lord Farquaad joke.
Beautiful. So there's this one point where it was like, oh, can you promise me something? Do you want to do it right now, Jess? Should we do it now?
I'll go with you.
Yeah. Can you promise me something?
Anything.
Okay. When you guys are in bed together, I can just imagine. No, this is not what I meant. I just like, can you guys not laugh at me when you guys are together? No, I totally get it. No, I get it. I feel really fucking stupid, but I honestly thought I was this female heroine. I thought I was this fairy tale heroine, but it's not. It's you. And like, I don't know. Maybe I'm like Lord Farquaad or something.
Okay, well, you're right about this, but Lord Farquaad is pretty cool, I guess.
Thank you so much for lying to me, Faith. I really appreciate it. And then we go into like, are you okay? And then it's like, nah, I'm done. And then I leave.
Oh, I'm sorry I missed that, but I'm so glad I got
We're
to see
sorry. We're sorry.
Yeah, of all the things to cut, you had to cut Farquaad.
John Lithgow.
Yeah. Justice for Lithgow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's okay. He's Churchill now. He's fine.
But like that's funny, and like there's like comedy running throughout the entire thing, and I think there's comedy in all of our lives, even in the realest parts. Like I'm the type of person to like make jokes as I'm fighting with somebody, so it's not that serious. But I think that I think it's important to highlight how serious this is for Wanda, because she has so much at stake. Like her dad's gonna hate her after this. You made me pay for your boyfriend's tuition, babe. Like it's kind of not cute. It's not a cute look.
Well, on the subject of tuition, that actually brings us pretty elegantly or clumsily, depending on how you look at it, to this next question. So this one might just be a me thing as I sip from my U of T mug. But I am a grad student myself at U of T, and I was kind of personally quite taken with this grad school backdrop of this piece, and especially something that I feel like you don't see very often on stage, that it was set among the field of women and gender studies, specifically with, like, you know, presumably straight male character who's just committed to the intellectual pursuit of that field, which I thought was neat. So I'm just curious if you have any thoughts about how this academic backdrop or context contributed to the overall content, style, or flavor of the piece.
Zach?
Yeah.
Jess, do you want to take the lead? Zach, take the lead?
I feel like, Zach, you're being summoned.
I've been summoned. I mean, women in gender studies was one of the things that I suggested be changed, because I feel like they were in different fields before. Like, I know Faith was she's in like aeronautic engineering or something. Like, she's like or astrophysics or something. And I thought, like, I know the eye roll is totally apt, Jess. And I thought women in gender studies was way more apt for like what was like the subject matter being discussed. And I also thought it made Logan way grosser if he's basically using he's using feminism to pick up chicks. I think is hilarious. And the academic backdrop is like, I think it really keeps the characters young. Like, it really keeps the age clear, you know, because like if it was just work, like if it was just like, oh, I'm really busy at work, babe, like that's like way less specific and any time, any place, any age. But like a women's studies BA, or I don't know. I doubt he's doing his master's. I don't think Logan has it in him. Yeah, that's a BA, I'm pretty sure. Anyway.
Was it? Oh, okay. In my mind, I thought it was grad school, but you would know better than I would.
Ethan would know better than me.
Get him on the phone.
Get him on the phone.
Just man.
I don't know. But yeah, that keeps it really nice and specific and local and thematically appropriate. And it gives Logan and Faith something to talk about. Because if it was their jobs, like Faith would be Logan's secretary and Wanda would be 10 times worse. Right? Am I wrong, though?
Why are we assuming that Faith would be Logan's secretary and not the other way around?
Oh, not the other way around.
Or maybe they're equals in this kind of co-ed office space.
Sure.
Gentlemen.
I am better.
Anyone else want to jump in on this topic?
I do. But Jess, do you want to go first? Do you have anything? Me? It's me. Got it. Sorry. I'm just rereading the thing just so I can like get back on the thing. Because I was thinking about it as I was doing it. I was like, why women in gender studies? Like, that's such a outlandish thing from like what we're talking about, like feminism, and then it's like rom-com, and it's like, isn't this what like feminists hate? Like, I think that's really funny that we have like a straight white man, or presentingly like straight white man, to like talk about women's issues. I'm like, this is so funny. Like, I think this is part of the comedy style that we were going for. Like, I feel like Zach really hated Logan to the point where Zach was like, we need to make this man a menace to society. Just like, oh. But like the style of it, I thought it was interesting because like looking at how he treats Wanda versus how he treats Faith. And I'm gonna bring up racism real quick, but like there's a bunch of microaggressions that I'm interested to see if the audience even picked up on, because I picked up on it when I was like sitting there where it's like, oh, it's okay for my girlfriend Wanda to pay for my stuff, but it's not okay for Faith to be like catering to me to an extent, because they do cater to each other, but it's emotional and it's less like financial, like things that are material. I think it's like interesting to like look at how racist that is, and like literally saying it's a kindness, like it's a kindness that I gave you this amount of like time to dupe you, which is like 3 months in my brain. Like the 3 months is supposed to be the last time that we had sex, and it was on like our anniversary dinner, and that was it. And like that's out the window. It's just outlandish. And it was racist to just be like, let's let the POC lady pay for all our shit. Like, let's let her carry the back of like all the things that I don't want to carry for myself anymore. You know, I don't know if that makes sense. I just think it was interesting. And like, I think that has to do with feminism. being POC, unlike white, and white feminism.
Yeah, intersectionality.
Period.
Jessica, do you have anything you want to add?
I feel like we have said it all. I agree with Zaynna's first point in that, like, it is kind of ironic that they're studying women and gender studies in this like rom-com that is just very, and like we make that joke about the Bechdel test, and it's very ironic, and we do not pass the test, not one.
Oh, not remotely.
Okay. Well, that was actually the next question I was going to ask. Well, so this kind of, I think it follows off the previous question very interestingly, because, like, to me, I thought part of the reasoning for choosing women and gender studies was partly, it's established in that very first scene on the bus that this is two of our main characters are in this field. So, my mind instantly thought, oh, this is going to be a feminist critique of the rom-com genre. And maybe from a certain point of view it is. We can unpack that a little bit. But in that same scene, you directly invoke the Bechdel test as this almost masthead that hovers over the rest of the entire piece. And yeah, I would say, I know there are different competing schools of thought about this, but I would say, no, the play doesn't pass the Bechdel test. And that's okay. I don't know, there are, again, part of the competing schools of thoughts are, is this even an effective metric of feminist storytelling? But I'm curious what you all think about the test in general and Wanda, the play's relationship to it.
I'm not talking first on this question.
Yeah.
It just looks like Jess has something to say.
Yeah, Jessica, you brought it up. Why don't you get us started on this one?
I think that it is okay that the play doesn't pass the Bechdel test. And I also think that it's important that plays have some semblance of passing the Bechdel test. Like, I do wish that there was a scene between Zaynna and I where we didn't discuss Logan, and we only had an hour and we had to cut 1,000 things.
Yeah.
But
you cut Farquaad, which is another man that you mentioned, so it's a one step in that direction.
Yeah, we had to tell the story very quickly and just do all of the main plot points. But if we were to ever do this again outside of like the restraints of the Fringe, I think that it would be very valuable to add a scene between the two women where they're just talking to each other about not a boy.
Right. And when Mervish eventually picks the play up, we will get that scene in there. It's inevitable.
Especially against the backdrop of the women and gender studies major. Why are we always talking about this boy? This highly problematic boy the whole time.
But that's a feature of the play, though, I think, is like every scene with two characters, they always talk about the other one. Like even in the like the Logan Faith scenes, they're talking about Wanda, right? I think the only exception is the second scene, the date scene. I don't think they talk about Faith, like Wanda and Logan don't talk about Faith in that scene. I think that's the one exception. But every other scene, they mention the other character, right? Wanda and Logan fight over Faith, like the characters are so connected that it's like, I don't think it's like they're not talking about him because he's a man, like they're talking about him because he's like their mutual dynamic with him is what the plot of the story is, and they have to talk about it. And that's true of every character in every scenario, like Wanda is crucial to the Logan and Faith dynamic, right? Like they're all so important, even when they're not there, right? That's why one of my favorite parts is when Logan and Faith are cheating, right? When they are having their date, Wanda is on the other side of the stage, and you see her knocking on the door, and you see her like waiting outside of Logan's door and falling asleep, waiting for him, right? Because it's like every it's like on stage, like Wanda might as well be in the room, right? Like the betrayal is like, it makes it so much worse, and it's like that, like the third person is such an essential part of the chemistry, even when they're not in the scene. That said, we definitely could have passed the Bechdel test. I would have liked that. But I think it's a good rule of thumb but like it doesn't account for certain things, like one woman shows. Like no one woman show can pass the Bechdel test, right? I don't think, like, on the top of my head, Alien. Does Alien pass the Bechdel test?
So, well, that's
No?
actually, I don't know if any of you have read the original comic strip that
Mhm.
Alison Bechdel wrote, in which the test was coined. But the Alien is used as the example, as the
Cool.
single film that the characters could think of that actually pass it, because they're running away from a female alien. So that
that's neat.
makes it successful, but they were hard pressed to think of a single instance in which two female human characters were able to successfully converse about not a man.
I'm pretty sure xenomorphs use they them pronouns.
Well,
Hard
there
to
you
say.
go. So maybe it was a little
They're
too
pretty
progressive
non-binary.
for its time. Yes. But there is a maternal, motherly, feminist undercurrent throughout that film that I guess helps it in that regard. Zaynna, you want to add something?
Yeah, because like I want to circle back to what Jess said earlier, that it's okay if it doesn't pass the Bechdel test, because like I think what we go for is natural conversation, and like just naturally we kind of bring up other people and other conversations. Like I do it all the time, and other people do it towards me, and like my partner, and like me towards their partners. And if there are no partners, then it's just, well, like, what are you doing? You talking to anybody? Like making sure other people are safe in their interactions with like other people who they romantically might or may not want to get involved in. Like I think it's just part of like our social upbringing. If it's like an appropriate time, do I think it was an appropriate time on stage? I think no, but I think she got really cheeky and she was like, so what about your love life towards Faith? And yeah, like what I liked about the show, and like I think that's another part of like talking about the Bechdel test, is that they live like no one's watching, and as they should, because only Wanda knows that people are watching and nobody else. And I think that's like something that was so crucial. And it's fine if they don't, because no one will pass the Bechdel test in real life. Yeah.
Yeah, and this, I guess, comes back to the competing schools of thoughts about it. Some people say that if there's a single conversation in which women mention a man, the play or the piece has failed. Like, it's only truly has the purity of the test if they get through the entire thing without talking about a man. Whereas I feel like most people don't go that extreme about it. They say as long as there is a scene or a conversation in which a man is not brought up, then it succeeds. I don't know, there was a comedic thing recently on Rick and Morty about an attempt at the Bechdel test, which, where the spiders had to be female spiders or else it couldn't have worked. So, there. But yeah, I think there's, a lot of fun things that are done with the bringing up of the test in the play, and specifically the fact that it doesn't succeed maybe does fit into some of the hypocrisy that was discussed about, Logan using his, very feminist coded major to hit on women, and maybe that's a problem. But on the topic of, interpersonal dynamics between two women, there was some speculation from myself, as well as other people I spoke to after seeing the show, that the play would end differently than it did, and specifically that it would actually turn out to be Wanda and Faith who ended up together romantically. The chemistry between you two was just palpable, and Logan kind of is the worst. So it was,
Yes.
personally for me, I was struggling to think why you both liked him so much, and was kind of hoping for an alternative ending, my own personal queer headcanon, if you will. But clearly this was not the case, and that's fine, but I just would love to hear your thoughts about this alternative ending and or interpretation.
We have all been saying that for so long. Like that, like, why don't they end up together? It would be, the show would be so much better. Like, screw Logan. He sucks. I mean, Faith also kind of sucks. They all kind of suck.
They're all flawed, but Logan sucks the most. I think we can all agree.
Yes.
Yeah. But we've been making jokes about that for so long, about how
Good 3 months.
yeah, Wanda version 2.0, Wanda and Faith have to end up together.
There is a draft where that happens.
And I bet in that draft there's a scene where they do not talk about Logan.
Oh.
No, they do. I'm so glad Logan's not here right now. Anyway,
Oh
how
my
about the stock market? Yeah, I heard that from my parents and Dylan's parents, and I think it's a fairly common point of view. I think it's like, man, I wish at the end of Lost, they all woke up on the plane and the plane never crashed. It's like, man, it's like, I wish this had a happy ending. It's like, I'm glad you wish that, but no, because it's not a happy ending. And if it had the happy ending, this happy ending, I don't think it would be as thought provoking, because this sort of like, that's kind of almost too easy, like having Faith and Wanda run away together is too easy, and having it be like a problem, like a cycle that is going on, and it's like Faith has replaced Wanda in the cycle, is a far more thought-provoking ending than they drive off in the sunset together and like Logan was never seen or heard from again. I think Wanda like leaving the cycle and entering like the real world, like leaving the dollhouse and like becoming a real person, and with Faith and Logan staying in the show is so much more compelling than them staying characters and sort of staying in a dream world. I think it's more interesting.
Nice.
Yeah. I'd be thinking about that. I like the question you asked where you were like, what the heck did you even like about that guy? Because like I think we've all asked that to like our friends who date people, even when we date people, and we're like, what did you like about this person? They were not that great. Like, I think what was really like attachment worthy for both Faith and Wanda was that Logan is smart. Like, I'm not gonna say he's stupid. He is stupid. I did say that at one point on stage. But like he's stupid in a sense that his lack of self-awareness is exactly what every like white guy lead kind of has. But he's smart in a way where like if Wanda were to be authentic, he's still able to like pick up on what she's giving and like laugh at times. Even if he doesn't like it, he still understands like what she's like giving out, because she's so fucking weird to the point where some people just don't get her joke, especially in the 15 minutes. Ooh, a lot of people were not laughing at what I was saying. But like the question was, I have to go back to the question now because I was gonna attach it. Hold up. Oh yeah, I wanted it so bad. But like as Zach was saying, like you shouldn't like spoon feed the audience, because then it's just not. It's not cool. If I'm gonna use like really generic terms, it's just not cool. But it's like, it's cool to think about. But like, I don't want to say that we were queer baiting, because I think we kind of were. We were. But towards the end, it was like, oh my God, how'd that book turn out? And it's like shocking. Like the dynamic was so strong that it was like, gays.
Hey, let me give you my number.
Yeah. I was just
Very
like,
first scene.
Yeah. It's a total bait and
queer
switch. It's absolutely queer baiting.
Yeah. But I also think that like Logan does the same thing where I think like, okay, so basically in our heads, it was like when the entire production is done, in our worlds where the story goes on, Wanda becomes the next Faith, and then they just keep switching. And the way to break that pattern would be for them to get together. But I don't think they would get together, because then the world wouldn't go on. If that makes sense. And I like it when art goes on sometimes. But I'll create a gay story for y'all. Don't worry about it.
Next year's Fringe. Or next year, just take that draft in which we get the happy ending. I would have preferred, and put that on. Don't tell anyone that it's a different show. Just say, yep, we're doing Wanda again. Yeah, this is great. Zaynna, you brought this up already, so maybe I'll toss this one to you first. To what extent would you say the interracial/intercultural dynamic of Wanda and Logan's relationship impacts how the drama unfolds? I know you already did start, but if you have more thoughts, I'd love to hear them.
Oh, I do. Because like when me and Ethan, I remember like having to book time for us to sit down and talk about it. Because I was like, if we are 1 week away and we don't know what we're doing, I'm going to get really upset and it's not going to be good. And it's because like there are moments on stage where Wanda starts speaking in Arabic, and it's very like city girl dialect, if that makes sense, where it was like, it's really urban for women to speak like that, if that makes sense. Like you will never, I'm from the village, so like I have family from the city and also from a village, so I know how both of them speak and how different like small town brains kind of are created to be because of the lack of resources and how the city is. And it's the fact that the word ihtiram that she brings up, it's like a term of openness and respect, but it's also self-respect in that way. So she's saying that if you don't have respect for me, you don't have respect for yourself. And there's a lot of interracial relationships that like we witness, like as people who are BIPOC, that like we see that there's a lack of self-respect and there's also a lack of respect towards the other person at the same time. And that's why it's so hard to nourish and keep at times, because when the other person just doesn't get you sometimes with the cultural upbringing, and sometimes it's judgmental, sometimes it's isolating. Like when she starts speaking in Arabic, that's isolating. And when I was speaking to Ethan about like how we're going to create their relationship and like why that pisses him off on stage to the point where he goes like, I don't know what you're saying, because like it's isolating. And when that conversation of the money was happening, and this is like kind of in the background, when the conversation between Wanda and her dad / Baba was talking to each other, they were speaking in Arabic the entire time while Logan was crying. And like to see Logan cry and like basically like be in like a shattered state around Wanda, it's like 1 in a million chance. So this story was kind of a 1 in a million chance that it would even be alive on stage and the way it was. But it doesn't mean that it's not common for like an isolating, disrespectful, lack of self-reflection on both ends on like what they're doing to each other and to themselves when they participate in those actions towards each other. Like in a culture sense, like Wanda has a hard time understanding Logan. Like she has a hard time because her family just doesn't communicate the way he does, like how blunt it was. It comes off as rude. And like for him, he's like, this is what I need from you. And that's culturally different. The way that they act as couples, culturally different. And like, I think people who are BIPOC, they really saw that. Like I had a friend who was like, yeah, I was in a relationship like that and they were white and like it was very similar. But then I would hear from white people and they'd be like, Wanda's kind of mean. And then it's like, is Wanda kind of mean? Or do you see Wanda's culture as mean? Do you see them as something else? I think it calls out like their racism that they just don't see. And that's the self-reflection that Wanda calls from other people for that interracial relationship. Did I make sense?
Yeah, no, that was amazing. Thank you for all of that. Zach, Jessica, I don't know if either of you want to add anything to this.
I think that Zaynna really nailed it.
Well said.
Cool. All right. We'll leave it on there. Okay, this is going to be the last question for Spoiler Zone, and then we will come to a graceful summation. And this is a fun one that I just want to toss at the end, but there's a lot of great, funny zingers in this show. So I just wanted to ask each of you, do you have a favorite line or joke from the play that you'd like to shout out here?
Oh, I kind of think about it.
So many.
Man.
Yeah. Okay, I'll say two of mine first, and then to wet the whistle a bit.
Please,
all right. Yeah. There were a lot. It's very hard to pick, but I think two of the ones that I just laughed the hardest at were, one, I am such a slut for Tim Marshall. That one just got me. You don't hear anybody say that in real life or in a play. So that was pretty special. And the other one, it was a Faith line. It was, I might be paraphrasing this one, but I don't have a best friend, I'm not a child. Which is just like, that voices a truth that I feel like so many people just think but never say. So it just split my sides to hear that.
I don't have friends, I'm not a child.
Or best friend. Did I say
it was best friend. Yeah,
it was best. Yeah. So, sorry, I butchered it in my.
No. Mine's the wrong.
No, but it is. Yeah. No, I feel like most people, when they think of who's their best friend, it's just the person from childhood who they're still kind of in touch with. Mm-hmm. But the fact that these two characters just met randomly on a bus and hit it off, I thought was a very interesting dynamic too. Is this my best friend? Do I have a best friend? I'm an adult. So yeah, that line got me. Let's hear from some of you.
My favorite is the exchange between Faith and Wanda when she's doing the fold your vagina bit. And then Faith says, I'll keep my lips sealed. And it's like, wait, ew, is that what you were trying to say?
I got that from a
Very
drag
funny.
queen.
My favorite.
It was Lebanese. I loved her. She was like, "Dub bekistik," and dub means like fold, like laundry. And it was like, I was like, we have to translate this. Like, it has to be literal.
Saying hasn't made it over here yet.
No.
It really hasn't.
I think my two favorites are Lord Farquaad, of course.
Right, which is
that line. Like, I would shit in my pants every time I heard it in the audience. I thought it was so funny. But no, the one that got me is Jess's Lord Farquaad is pretty cool. That is my favorite. Just watching you like age like 10 minutes every time you have to say that. It's like so painful to watch. It's so funny though. And then of course I could use some therapy. That's my favorite. Logan's big sexy moment. I could use some therapy. That's so funny.
It's great.
That one kills me. And I wish I met Faith first. That's not like a zinger. That is just such a brutally painful line.
Yeah.
And the audience reaction to it was my favorite every time.
Yeah, that one gets you. Okay, Zaynna, you haven't
Are you with us?
Yet.
This is not part of the show, but part of the 15 minutes before where I would be like, why is my TV talking? Or sometimes I would hit the audience with the like, why are you in my living room? And then like, they'd just be like, she's so quirky. And I'd be like, no, you're quirky. I heard somebody say that and I was like, that's it. You're dead. You're quirky. And then I just kept doing it. I gotta say, it's my asshole. That one really gets a laugh out of me. I had to really hold that one in. There's also the one in the beginning where I go like, they meet. I never got these lines right. It was hilarious. I was like, they meet, and it was the that would like make my brain go like, like a giggity moment. Like it's just be so funny for me. I can't remember anything else, but I loved saying like, "Is your name Billy?" And then he'd be like, "Who the fuck is Billy?" And like, it's a running joke for Arab people to go like, "Is your name Billy?" And they'll be like, "What?" And then it's like, "Billy Testrek Seted," which means Billy, you're a fucking idiot. And it's just so good. Like, it's so blunt. Like, that's also one of the things I love saying. And don't ever condescend to me, you white man. And then that was it. Yeah.
Nice.
Hilarious.
Love it. Yeah, there's so many great lines in the show to choose from. And I'm glad we got to share a little menagerie of them here. Okay. So that brings us to the end of Spoiler Zone. So, thank you for returning those who left and skipped ahead to this point. So I gotta ask, when is Mervish kind of gonna release the show? No, but seriously, this show is too good to just be gone after a short Fringe run. So I do really want to ask, what's next for Wanda? Are there currently any plans for a post-Fringe afterlife?
Kinda. Like we're all sort of taking a break, I think, from Wanda thinking, and then we're gonna come back for Wanda thinking at some point, or not. We might just move on to the next thing. We'll see. I think we all definitely want to work together again, though, because this was lots of fun, and it's not every day you meet people you can work with such pleasure. At least not for me. Like, I mean, I'm so used to school group projects where it's like there's like you have to like get people who are slacking, but this was like everyone was completely busting their ass, and it was perfect. I think right now the only for real official for sure Wanda things that we're gonna do is we recorded it, so Dylan's gonna edit up a video and we're gonna release that. I want it on YouTube. We'll probably figure something else out there. I want to just put it on YouTube though. Cool. And I have all of my audio, like I recorded it on audio a couple of times, and I'm gonna edit that and release it in podcast form, and I'll probably also send it to my local radio station, Trent Radio, here in Peterborough, and broadcast it live there. So I would love to do another in-person show at some point. I think that would be hilarious. And it would give us I don't know if we want to go back into the script. I'm happy to never think about the Wanda script ever again. We can just go with the run we have now and just stage it a bunch more and just keep having fun. But also we did it, and we did it really well. And there's nothing to be ashamed of or want to do again. Like, we really ran our own race and did really well. And if we were to do it again, I think it would be more for fun than like anything. But I don't know. I haven't heard from you guys about this. What do you guys think?
One of you, Tom.
Yes. Yes.
I would love to do this show again. No future plans.
Okay.
We
Talking about doing it in a park.
Nice. Wanda in the park.
Wanda
did
Beside
talk
Shakespeare.
about
Yeah.
that. We did talk
Little
about that. We
pre-show.
did that. Little pre-show. The pre-show is half an hour walking around. That's it. Yeah, we did talk about Wanda in the park. We did talk about that. We might have something else in the works. We're going to reconvene at a different time. And because we somehow work together so well. And I'm just very proud of us because like running out the gate like this, and no matter what the challenges were, we were able to like pull everything together and give the audience a transformation. And I hope we can do it again. I think we should. I think cool.
I would like to.
Yeah, it's wonderful. I will also add, if you do wind up posting it either on YouTube or as a podcast somewhere where it can be permanently accessed, please send us the link to it and we will attach it to the description of this. So when people pause for spoilers, they can instantly go and watch or listen to it and then come back. Because, I think this show is wonderful and I would like more people to see it or experience it. And
I was editing it this morning, so it'll be done very soon.
Okay, so send it our way and we will put it in with this.
Hell yeah.
Awesome. Great. So you've started alluding to this a little bit, but so that's Wanda's story for what's next with it. But what about just each of you as your own personal theater artists, even if there's no immediate plans for Wanda next? Do you have your own forthcoming projects on the horizon that maybe you'd like to plug here? Zaynna, you're nodding. You want to go first?
I'm in the works of writing a new play about Arab mysticism and mythology because I feel like the Canadian audience just like simply does not know about what we interact with like on our side of the world. And I think it'd be cool to just like bring it and just be like, here you go. And so that's in the works for me. But I'm also on vacation, so that's in the works on hold.
It is on the horizon. All right. Yeah. Well, that sounds awesome. Let us know how that's going. We'd love to hear about it. And
let me edit your script, Zaynna.
You're going to.
Yes.
You're on the list. I didn't even ask your permission. I just went like, he's gonna edit my script. It's gonna be good.
Yes.
Zach has a very specific, like, I don't know, like I want to say like perspective. Like every time we would be blocking something, like Zach would have something that's completely different from my mind. And I'd just be like in awe every time. I'm like, I definitely don't have a director brain. I just have a writer's brain and a artist brain. And I can give you the product you want and I can make it for you. But can I execute it in a vision? I don't know. Maybe later.
Thanks for saying that, Zaynna. It's very nice of you.
That is very nice. Zach, since you already clearly have projects on the horizon, editing Zaynna's script and compiling the audio or video for Wanda, what about your own work? Do you have anything of your own that's coming up?
Yeah, I'm going to release an anthology of my short stories called The Birch Cycle. Should be good. 7 short stories in there. 1 poem, all of varying lengths. That should be good. It's like it's about 70 pages all told. So that'll be cool. And I got my friend Emma Johns, the talented Emma Johns, to do art for it. So I told her to do Evil Shel Silverstein, and I think she nailed it. So get hyped for that. And I just started writing a couple days ago a script that I had the idea for writing Wanda. I just want to take all the stuff I learned writing Wanda and put it into the script. And that's also going to have religious themes, I think, like Zaynna's. It's going to be about like a chiropractor who is like the fiance of this like Amish Mennonite guy, and they go back to his town, and then she like backtracks the patriarchy out of these Mennonites. So I'm working on that right now. It's gonna be pretty good. I'm liking it so far.
Okay. Sounds intriguing. Let us know how that goes and when anything's happening with it.
And we're all trying to work on something together as well. Okay. We know it's going to be a musical, but we're not. We're spitballing ideas. Like we're getting closer. But that's the next thing for WandaCorp or whatever we end up calling ourselves.
WandaCorp. Well, Burgundy Dragon is the company.
Burgundy Dragon.
Is that just the ad hoc organization that did Wanda?
Well, that was the name of the theater club that Ethan and I started in high school.
Okay.
And I just think it'd be nice to leave high school behind. I think it'd be nice.
WandaCorp it is.
WandaCorp, yeah.
Okay, how about you? Jessica, do you have anything of your own coming up?
I am doing a lot of creation for myself. now that Wanda is over and I can like breathe. So like I've been doing a lot of painting, and now that I have my ukulele back and it's not like sitting in the Tarragon, I have been playing a lot more music. And yeah, we are getting together at the end of August to brainstorm, write, create something together. But until then, I'm just doing me, and it's nice.
That's wonderful. Treat yourself. Yeah. All right. Well, it has been so lovely talking to all of you about yourselves and this show and all of your thoughts and interpretations. Before we sign off, in the spirit of plugging, as we were just doing, I would love to let you each plug your own personal social media handles or websites and where people can keep up with you or your work if you want. If you'd rather be private about it, that's fine too. But I'll let you each have a chance. Zaynna, would you like to go first?
Absolutely. You can find me, especially on Instagram. That's the one I use the most, at Zaynna K, which is like just one letter, not K-Y. And also you can follow me on Facebook at Zaynna Khalife. I'm pretty much the only one, I think. And same thing with a TikTok, which would be Zaynna K. Yeah, that's me.
And all of these will be in the description of this episode.
Yeah.
Jessica, would you like to go next?
I am on Instagram as Jessica Harb. Easy. That's all. I've got Instagram.
That's enough.
You can find me there.
And Zach, take us home.
Yes, I'm on YouTube and SoundCloud. Just look up Upstairs Neighbour Media for audiobooks and radio plays and poetry readings and music and stuff like that.
Fantastic. And
also, I went into my ASMR voice first.
Yes.
I was like, ooh.
Also,
okay.
Is there a place where anyone can pre-order your short story collection?
No.
Okay. Not yet. Well, let us know.
We'll get there when we get there.
All right. Sounds wonderful. Okay, well, this has been a real treat. I really appreciate you all coming on the show and talking about this wonderful piece. And that's it for us. For those who enjoyed listening to this on Cup of Hemlock Theatre, like, share, subscribe, follow us. We are at COH Theatre on all platforms, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. If you're watching this on YouTube, subscribe there, get in the comments. Nice comments only, please. We are very
Smash
fragile.
that like button.
Smash the like button. And if you're listening to this as a podcast, do the podcast stuff, I guess. Take care, everyone, and have a wonderful night, I guess. I don't know when you're listening to this.